Hello and welcome to another edition of the FPL 6 Picks contest, where every game week myself and FPL Lens go head to head and run through our top picks across 6 distinct categories, backed up with stats, fixture analysis and tweets from the FPL community. Anyone can take part by entering their own 6 picks via the link in the video description before the game week deadline. The FPL points scored by your 6 picks equals your total score. And best of all, we are offering up a $10 Bitcoin prize to the game week winner. Join us both every week as we chat about everything FPL related, and we want to hear from you, so please don't hesitate to drop a comment if you have any questions, concerns, or decisions to make with your own FPL teams. Welcome everybody to contest number 2, game week 10 of the 6 picks contest. Well, revival, I guess we can call it that, with myself and Gabriel, FPL Lens. And let's just get straight through to the results of game week 9. And there's a smug man over in the corner there.
Straight to the results, Cathal.
Straight to the part that you want to talk about the most, I guess. 44 points to 39. Reaction, Gabriel?
I'd like to take this moment to announce my undefeated retirement from the 6 picks. No, I mean, reactions at, flip of a coin, right?
Yeah.
My initial reactions are, one, nailed the captaincies, both of us here in this one.
It was a bit of a sweat, though, at the same time, wasn't it? It was a very much like eyebrow wiping moments with Bruno Fernandes. Because for a while he was on minus 1 point, doubling to minus 2 points, but that was like
But during that time, I still felt smug because of my real FPL predictions, and then the way I went with my real team, it was so perfect, and then it all came crashing down. But regarding this, I think on my side, Rich Harlison could have had so much more. Sadio Mané could have had so much more. I thought it was hilarious that Masuaku got 2 bonus and Cresswell only got 1. I guess Masuaku didn't really do much.
It was close though. There was only, I think, 1 BPS between it. It was very close. He nearly snuck in at the end. But if you look at that there, like side by side, it was as close as that. The budget defense pick. Patrick Van Aanholt conceding and Cresswell holding on to that clean sheet and getting the bonus point was the 5-point difference right there. Very disappointed with my gut feeling. Aubameyang, really
so bad. Bad, huh?
Yeah, I feel sorry for Eddie Aubameyang, anyone who held on to him. Ollie Watkins, though, he had a penalty overruled by VAR, so there's one instance where it worked against me. It worked in my favor for Bruno, but against me at Ollie Watkins.
Was that going to be his? He grabbed the ball, right?
Yeah, he had the ball in his hand. He was ready to take it. Probably
that was a shocking reversal, I thought.
Well, you know what? At least they're consistent. They said he got the ball, and he did. He also took the man out. I mean, I don't know how you judge those things anymore. I wouldn't like to be a referee in this day and age. They got VAR to help them, and all of a sudden it's complicated things, and I don't know.
Nobody ever likes a referee anyway. It's like the parking meter people that give you a parking ticket. It's like all the negativity of humanity goes on these people. I feel kind of bad for them.
Yeah, and they're not even on commission. Like, who wants to be a parking inspector? At least those guys make some money for the people that they cause misery to.
That's right.
Right. Okay. We're going to launch.
But a good week and a good kind of start, of a little rivalry here, I feel.
Yeah. You deserved it, to be honest. I feel like I could have done better with my gut feeling. There was a few other players I had in mind, but I'll gloss over that part, and I'm going to look forward and stay positive, and hopefully I can get one back on you. You're not retiring just yet.
Not retiring, not even close.
So we have to congratulate our first season winner of $10 worth of $10 worth of Bitcoin, and it's Faisal Pakarat. Game week 9 winner, 56 points scored. Werner in the premium pick. Differential let him down with McGinn. Cresswell, just like our good friend Gabriel, 7 points. Shea Adams with the assist and bonus for 7 points. Diogo Jota 9. What a run he is on. I think he's undroppable at this rate for Jurgen Klopp's team. 9 points scored. And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin. It seems so obvious now looking back, doesn't it? Calvert-Lewin had 2 goals in no time against one of the weakest teams in the league. He's on 55, 60%, massive ownership. And thankfully for Faisal, he saw a bit of common sense there. And he's been rewarded, evidently, with $10 worth of Bitcoin. Congratulations, Faisal. Well done.
And that's a gift that keeps on giving. Because that's going to be more and more and more. Jeez. Uh-huh.
Well, yeah, it could be potentially worth 20, 30% more than what it's now in a week or so, the way things are going. Mm-hmm. Right, let's launch in. I'm excited about this. Into the picks contest for Game Week 10. And as always, we have our 6 categories. What I'll do is I'll go through each category individually and explain the criteria behind each pick. And then myself and Gabriel will reveal our picks for Game Week 10 simultaneously. So the first category that we're going to look at is premium pick. In this one, you can choose a goalkeeper or a defender costing 5.5 or more, or you can opt for a midfielder or forward costing 8 or more in FPL. And there's a limit on all of these categories. You can only choose 1 player pick per club team. So let's reveal who you've gone for in the premium for Game Week 10. And I can see that you're doubling down on Jamie Vardy this week. That was your premium pick last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was the same one that it was.
But and he should have had a penalty, really. Maddison ball looked a dead cert penalty for me, but look, we've already
two clear chances that he didn't put away as well.
Yeah, so. That's true. And I've gone for Kevin De Bruyne, which is also a little controversial because he's been in a little bit of wasteful form lately. But I've got my eyes on that fixture at that Burnley home game. It's funny about his price rise too. I think we had a chat on the live stream and we were talking about how reliable some of these algorithms can be for the likes of FPL statistics and a few other ones. And then doesn't he go up on price about an hour later out of nowhere? Like he wasn't due to rise at all. And then we I don't know, a few people were watching, but we had a bit of egg in our face there from those comments. But look, you don't know. These things are never 100% reliable. But anyway, look, the reason why I've gone for Kevin De Bruyne, look, at the last 4 game weeks, statistically, he looks good on paper. Now, from an eye test perspective, I definitely think there's a lot to be desired. His finishing's a little bit scathy and he just doesn't look himself. A lot of misplaced passes. But in terms of big chances created, he's got 3 in the last 4 game weeks, and that's tied second amongst FPL midfielders. And he's also joint top for FPL midfielders for goal attempts. 14 goal attempts, 6 inside the box. That's joint top with Bruno Fernandes, who has been sensational of late. And I'm watching the Man United game right now in the Champions League, and he scored 2 goals within 8 minutes. I mean, he really looks good. He doesn't need penalties to score, this guy, but he evidently needed one in Game Week 9. And I'm just going to share a tweet that I shared on Twitter.
He needed 2.
Yeah, he needed 2. Exactly. He needed 2. Let's not mention that. He was our captaincy pick last week. We were fortunate there, let's be honest. It may be time for KDB, as I've stated here, and it's because of, well, I said his eye test didn't look great, but there were key moments in those games that could have put a different slant on his FPL score. The missed penalty in Game Week 8, he already had an assist against Liverpool in that match, if you remember, and then he just obviously slotted his penalty wide, but that would have been a double-digit haul right there. And then the 2 big chances created, and I'm just referencing that weird Jesus backside block that occurred in that game that like it really should have been a goal. It was just freaky how he didn't score that one. So there were a few little things that were kind of unexplainable, but at the same time, there's something not right with Kevin De Bruyne. I'm a fixtures type of guy, and I'm just going on the back of Burnley home next and Fulham home next. Two great games to turn around some form and get himself back on track. What do you think of Bruno? De Bruyne.
I think it's It's a controversial pick for sure, given the team's recent form. But I think he has that look in his eye, right? Like when you see him playing, he looks so kind of just determined to will success to happen, and I think if fixtures could be an indicator of future form, I think you're going in at the right time. So I think it's a shrewd pick there.
Yeah, his leadership style is definitely lead by example on the field. I know that he's been left out of the traveling Champions League squad for Man City this week, so that could be a nod from Pep Guardiola. Look, put your feet up, have a rest. We want you fresh and ready for the Premier League. And it could all kick off at home to Burnley in game week 10. 18% ownership as well, I should mention that. That's the lowest Kevin De Bruyne has been owned in FPL for a long, long time. Jamie Vardy, well, it's a good pick. I mean, I can't argue with it.
So Jamie Vardy, well, first of all, it's interesting in just in FPL in general how a lot of the premium assets are actually somewhat low owned. They have pretty low ownership. We're talking about Sterling, De Bruyne, Mane, even Salah's ownership has dropped. They're all right around 20 or under, which is interesting. It hasn't usually been that way. But for me, Jamie Vardy, yeah. So we talked about Jamie Vardy's stats. Well, I mentioned them last time. I won't repeat those ones. That he's second to Patrick Bamford in many attacking statistical categories in the last 4. But for me, it's more about the matchup, and the matchup that we failed to see, or at least for this contest, we failed to see Calvert-Lewin, right, in the matchup against Fulham. So here's where Fulham concede approximately 2 big chances per game. And Vardy has scored 8 of his 13 big chances so far this season. So if 2 big chances and that kind of conversion rate for Vardy kind of makes it somewhat likely that he'll get a return here. The other stat I have is Fulham concede 1 XG every 60 minutes. So about 1.5 XG per game. And Vardy scores 1 goal every 1.3 XG conceded.
Yeah.
So almost a 1-to-1 rate. So he has a high chance of getting a return on the big chances side, and he has a high chance of getting a return on the XG side. And I think he has a better than average chance of getting a double return. So
yeah. Well, another way of summing that up is that Fulham, Vardy doesn't take many chances for Vardy to score a goal, and Fulham have been conceding they've been error prone at the back, giving a lot of misplaced passes, just affording a lot of opportunities to the opposition. And I can totally see him punishing Fulham again, and the instability in their defense. Not your captaincy pick though.
Not my captaincy pick.
Oh, interesting. Now
that's another lesson that I learned.
I'm looking forward to seeing who you went for there. Vardy definitely is a favorable captain this week. I reckon a lot of people will put the armband on him. Let's move into differential pick next. Ownership has to be under 10%. Team selected by at time of entry, and there's the limit of 1 player pick per club team. Let's reveal who we've gone for game week 10. No, you thought my premium was controversial. Let me give you a little bit of James Maddison. Stir the pot up a bit. Now you've gone for João Cancelo. And that's another thing before we go any further. You mentioned low ownership of premium players. I think it's just low ownership of Man City players, because I don't like all of their defenders are like from Walker to Ruben Diaz to Laporte, João Cancelo, even Ederson are all under 10% ownership. And in years gone by, that was never a thing. And it's just the fact that there's no consistency in performances. Really, that's probably why. Yeah. They've
been more consistent this year, but tell me about James Maddison. That is unexpected. It's like you went to James Maddison.
I don't know. Do you know what it is? It's a sort of spidey, tingly senses that people get. There's no meaning behind them. I don't have much to back this one up, really, to be honest. It's probably belongs. It should be parked firmly in the gut feeling category, but I decided to just slip James Maddison into differential, and he definitely is a differential at 2.3%. He didn't play many games at the start of this season due to his slow reintroduction to the team from injury. But he has 5 goals and 10 assists in the last season. He was Mr. Playmaker for that Leicester team. And there was a couple of indications in that Liverpool game that he was going to be that creative force once again. And he was a standout Leicester player in that game. I have to admit there weren't many in that 3-0 drubbing, but he had 4 key passes, 4 chances created for the likes of Harvey Barnes and Jamie Vardy. He's only started 3 games this season, so because of, as I mentioned, he's had his minutes managed. But now I think he's first choice in the league games. And I've just shared a heat map of his positioning, and something that I've actually found myself watching a couple of the Leicester games in the Europa League. And his positioning, first of all, it is quite similar to last season, not as deep as last season. So he is a little slightly more advanced than his role last year. But I like how he's performed very well against weaker teams in the Europa League. If you look at his 3 games he's played so far, he's played over 70 minutes in each one of them. And he's got 2 goals and 1 assist, and blew the opposition off the park from what I saw. Just his vision and unpredictableness with passing was too hot to handle for the other defenses. And I feel like he's definitely under the radar because he hasn't done anything. He hasn't produced this year. He got a goal because Vardy was off the pitch. He took a penalty in one of the earlier game weeks, but he's done nothing yet. And I feel like he is just one of those players that is definitely going to pop at some stage. And I'm going to take a chance at this week against Fulham at home. So you have your Vardy name in the hat against Fulham, and I have my James Maddison in there. So
I think that's a validation on both sides. I think. What question do you think he's wider this season than he was in the past, than he has been in the past, isn't he?
He's definitely drifting. Yeah, I feel like against Liverpool, they were just trying to play on the counter. So he was just trying to pick the ball up and anywhere with space, turn and play somebody in. So it did look that way. I don't think I'll be honest, I don't think his goal threat is high at all. This is all about assist potential. He takes corners. He does take the odd free kick. That could be an advantage. But I definitely feel like it's his assist potential you're going for here. I don't know if he's going to score more than 5 goals this season, to be honest. But I do think he can rack up the assists against weaker opposition. And maybe sneak the odd goal. Maybe Jamie Vardy will go off early and he'll get a penalty.
It's happened before, right?
Yeah, definitely. João Cancelo.
So João Cancelo, again, this is we're going to kind of repeat some of the things about your Kevin De Bruyne pick. So here's what I like about João Cancelo this game week specifically. So Burnley have created the fewer chances than any team from the right side. They've only created all season. This is just chance, not even big chance. 8 chances from the right side. And that is by far the lowest in the league. And the reason for it is Loughton, he doesn't go anywhere. Like whereas on the left side, Charlie Taylor may have some license to get forward. Loughton really just sits there. Or is it Loughton? Is it Loughton or Loughton?
Matthew Loughton, I think. Well, look, I butcher names every week here, so you can say it any way you want.
I'll try and say it the way his mom says it, I guess.
Well, I called Patrick Van Aanholt Pierre Van Aanholt the other week, so I'll forgive you for that one. Loughton.
So Loughton sits with that back line, and what happens is Gudmundsson's playing in front of him, and what Gudmundsson has been doing is he has been pinching inside. When Burnley lose the ball, Gudmundsson pinches inside to make the center of the field compact. And that leaves this big lane on Burnley's right flank with Loughton stuck behind and no right mid to speak of because he's helping the center mids. And I think Cancelo is just going to come barreling down that lane kind of all game long. I really like Cancelo in this game, and I love actually Raheem Sterling as an outside pick this week. But yeah, That's why I like
Only,
Cancelo.
only one pick per club team, so
I know.
obviously you prefer João Cancelo a little more than Sterling. I did notice that Cancelo, when in possession, he does tend to nearly play it in midfield. Like he kind of drifts in a lot when they have the ball, and he just tries to pick passes.
He does come in a lot, especially after he crosses the halfway line. Right there, he kind of makes a beeline for like the top of the box at the first where the D is, where the half circle meets the box. Right to that line, I think.
You see, Coach Gabriel sees all the details.
It's the
on it.
eye.
You have an answer for everything. No, I do like the João Cancelo pick. I think that City's defense is definitely underperforming. They're better than this. They really are, and clean sheets are around the corner. João Cancelo, any rotation risk there with Benjamin Mendy if he comes back into the game?
Maybe not for this week. I don't think so. I think Pep needs to field his best team. They need to get on track. Yeah,
I agree. Burnley at home is a decent game for that to happen.
Yeah.
Let's move into the budget defense pick. In this category, you're choosing a goalkeeper costing less than 5.5, or you can go for a defender costing less than 5.5 at time of entry. Right. So budget defense reveal. You know what? We've got Stuart Dallas on my side and George Baldock over at FPL Lens. You would not believe, Gabriel, how close I was to choosing George Baldock.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you. I was on the verge of picking him, and I saw a little bit of a static on Stuart Dallas and went on his side. And I was hoping I could maybe reserve George Baldock for another week, and it would be an undiscovered pick. But I'll let you kick it off. 5.2 million, 1.7%, tiny ownership for your pick this week.
They've been so bad, right?
That's right.
It's hard to go here. I have to say, but looking through the budget defenders this week, none of them really excited me. I do actually like. I'm a little jealous of the Stuart Dallas pick now that I see him up there. But I'll focus on my pick here, George Baldock. We mentioned last week, I mentioned when I was talking about Aaron Cresswell last week, how advanced Baldock and Basham are. And they don't get back to their own box very much at all. And so that's one thing he has going for him. Here's the other thing. West Brom, they create one big chance every 189.5 minutes.
That's not much, is it?
So the clean sheet potential is what I really love here. And you throw in some crosses, there might be a bonus or two. George Baldock is also averaging 1 key pass per game and 1 chance created per game in the last 4. So there's something. It's not a lot to hang your hat on, 1 key pass, but that 1 key pass could lead to the 1 shot that's a goal. So it's something, but I love the clean sheet potential this week with Sheffield United.
Yeah, well, I saw the first 3 minutes of their Game Week 9 game, and Baldock nearly scored. He hit a shot saved very early, and he's just full of energy. I mean, he's just up and down that flank like a yo-yo, serious amount of energy. And I like him. I think he's as I said, I nearly picked him myself, so I really can't go against it now. Sitting in front of you, I'll look at my Stuart Dallas now and just like give you an idea of what I'm thinking. Well, I'll just reveal the stat that was really mind-boggling. 4.5 million starting off, so team selected by is 6%. He hasn't shifted in price actually, because he just hasn't had that big haul yet. Everton away in game week 10 may or may not happen, but I do like what I see with him, and it's the OOP potential as well. So OOP stands for out of position, and in FPL it basically means it's a player who's classified in a position he doesn't play in. So for example, you could have a reverse out of position player like James Miller who plays left back even though he's a classified midfielder, or you can have someone like Aubameyang who played up front, led the line for Arsenal last game week even though he's classified as a midfielder. So it can be an advantage or a disadvantage. It's definitely an advantage for Stuart Dallas. He's been utilised as a left back but also in midfield at times. And it's a nice surprise to get, I guess. If you're an owner of Stuart Dallas, you're not expecting him to play in the center of the park, and when he does, you're like, oh, happy days. Could work out well this week. But I'm going to have a little pop quiz with you now. So this is a question for you, Gabriel. And obviously, it's going to be related to Stuart Dallas. What do Anthony Martial, Ashley Barnes, Alexandra Lacazette, David McGoldrick, Callum Robinson, Sebastian Haller, and Jordan Hyav have in common with themselves?
With Stuart Dallas. What's the commonality?
I was going to say Stuart Dallas, but I was going to say with them. I have to say with themselves. What do these players have in common? That's the way I'll say it.
They are all terrible finishers. They can't score a goal to save their lives. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of an end product of this stat. So close. It is close.
Cool.
But these are all FPL classified strikers with less total goal attempts than Stuart Dallas this season.
Wow.
So 11 goal attempts he's had this season, 6 of which have been on target. That's more than impressive for a defender after 9 game weeks. We have to be honest. I mean, that's John Lundstrom standard from last season.
Indeed.
And another one, our good friend Aubameyang, who let me down last week as my gut feeling pick. Excluding penalties, he has the same amount of shots on target as Aubameyang this season, Stuart Dallas. So yeah, a good in terms of potential for goal scoring. I think he's a good one to have, and a 4.5 million. That's why I've just slotted him in as my budget pick.
Nice one. I like that.
Right. Well, will we stop and pause and give a little bit of thanks to the community? I like doing this every week, just giving a few shout outs here and there. The main one I want to point out is Mark Byrne, who commented this week. And he basically just came in with a prediction for the 6 picks contest in game week 9. He said Gabriel to win, Vardy and Cresswell to be the difference. He was right with the Cresswell part of it, definitely. That was what split the two of us in the end, that 5-point difference between Van Aanholt and Cresswell. Good vid, guys. Like the format. Now, Mark, I don't know if he knew this or not. He entered the second part of our contest, which is predict who's going to win. So there's 2 ways to enter. You can click on the form in the description here and enter your own 6 picks before the game week deadline. It's Friday this week, don't forget. Or we want to see you get into the comments and tell us who you think is going to win. Me or Gabriel, FPL Crypto or FPL Lens. And with that, you also have to guess what score we're going to get. So have an estimate on the score. Whoever gets it spot on wins $10 worth of Bitcoin. So why not get in the comments and have a go? Nothing to lose. Another shout out for a supporter of the 6 picks contest is Dave Paxton. Goes by the Rooster Booster 1. He put up a very nice comment, complimentary comment on our last video. And we really appreciate all the support so far. Really appreciate all new subscribers, anyone who likes and shares the video on any of the social media formats. It's been fantastic. We put a lot of hard work into this, a lot of research, and it's all for you guys. And we really hope you continue to enjoy them and support us with what we do. Any words of anybody else, FPL Lens, you can think of out there?
No, not at the moment. Just the one shout I think I'll give is enjoy other people's successes. When things don't go right for you, they went right for someone else, and they're part of the community as well. Try to enjoy them.
Yeah, I agree, and you see a little bit of nastiness out there with people celebrating. Like I know Zaha missed out because of a COVID isolation thing. There's people on Twitter celebrating it. It's not a nice tone to put out there, and I think it's a good message just to remain positive and spread and encourage positivity in the community.
Like our good friends, the FPL drunks say, raise the bar, lower the tone.
Raise the bar, lower the tone. It's a nice one, isn't it?
It is a nice one.
Budget offense pick. So in this category, priced midfielder of less than 8 million or a forward less than 8 million. 1 player pick per club team. Revealing who we went through this week, we can see DCL shape figure on the right hand side and a Callum Wilson under me. So yeah, I've got a flag on Callum Wilson. I know that. So this is another weird one for me. There's no assurance that he's going to play, and a lot of this is then. Well, I'll be honest. He takes penalties and he's their talisman, but it's a risky pick. Like, there is injury concerns with this one. In saying that, if he does start, he's returned 5 out of the 8 games he's played for Newcastle. He's quickly becoming. I know there's a talisman theory is one of those things out there that people like to aspire towards and think about and consider. And I definitely think Wilson will be a talisman for Newcastle. They missed his presence against Chelsea. And it's quite simply Palace looked a little hopeless without Zaha's industry presence and hold-up play up front. And I do feel like they're a little bit vulnerable now. And he might still be out for Friday, don't forget. But look, I hope that the Zaha absence affects the overall Palace performance again. Burnley also missed 4 big chances in that game against Palace. And I was very surprised at how easily Chris Wood and Rodriguez got in behind Crystal Palace, who are usually quite watertight back there. And there is opportunity. Now, Newcastle aren't informed by any stretch of the imagination, so there is a little bit of risk attached to this one. I'm not going to lie. I think a lot of my picks are on the edge of lunacy, to be honest. But I'm here to defend them.
You definitely reach down into your gut for all your picks and just throw it all out there.
I just splashed them out there. I do like Callum Wilson, but he's been one of those players labeled a troll in the FPL community, basically because he doesn't perform when we expect him to. But then he does have those streaks in him. I know early on last season, he was one of those players who went the first 7 or 8 game weeks returning in each game week and then just fell off a cliff. Really mostly down to the fact that Bournemouth weren't very good. But I'm hoping that Callum Wilson can do something in the next 3 games. Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, West Brom at home. And he's 6.5 million, 12% ownership. Help me out here.
I mean, if Callum Wilson is back, I think it's a good pick, especially because of the state of Palace now. They really did not have much without Zaha, and Callum Wilson is. If I were to go back and look, I bet his impact on Newcastle is probably similar to Richarlison's impact on Everton. He's that important, I think, to that team. So if he's in, it's so risky though. But if he's in, I think it's a really good pick.
It is risky, and I can't throw out a load of stats to kind of influence in the positive direction. But I do know he's a good finisher, and they miss him. Like, Joe Linton is not a finisher. He's an okay player, but he's not going to score you goals. Similarly, Andy Carroll isn't prolific. He's so important for this Newcastle. If they want to do decent this season and finish mid-table or upwards, then they just need Callum Wilson to return 16, 17 goals this season. And they have a nice favourable run of fixtures. So I don't think it's that bad a budget offense pick at 6.5 million. And it also gives me a bit of interest in the Friday game. It's good to think selfishly like that.
It is good that there is very little interest outside of the 6 picks, I have to admit. So yeah, sure, why not? Root for someone, cheer for someone.
Yeah, exactly. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, talk to me as if you have to.
I know, right? Yeah, I just picked him so I wouldn't have to say anything for a while. 7.8 million still qualifies as budget. I think get used to him being on here. But 60% ownership. I think he is the highest owned player at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, all the stats are with him. He's a clinical finisher. But I specifically had some stats. I went for with Richarlison, without Richarlison. I hope you can see that table. I'm sorry, it might be a little small for some of our viewers. But to break it down a little bit, I'll just go through the numbers. So big chances with Richarlison, he gets 1.66 big chances per game. Without, it's down to 0.33. With Richarlison, he scores 1.5 goals per game. Without, it's 0.33 as well. Shots in the box is 3.2 with, 1.7 without. Shots on target, 2.5 with, 0.7 without. An XG of 0.92 per match with Richarlison and 0.34 without. And Richarlison's back, and he scored a brace as soon as Richarlison was back, just to kind of further prove his influence. And in a great matchup, it picks itself.
Yeah, well, that's Richarlison's presence was clear for all to see. He got the assist in the first Calvert-Lewin goal, and he just pulls defenders' attention away from DCL's movement and allows him to get into those little pockets of space and take on his opportunities. And I think you're going to win again. You're going to win again this week, because I'm looking back at my picks, and like even the budget defense pick, George Baldock, I'm like, I was going to go for that one, but then that's your only risky one so far. The rest of yours are nailed on safe picks, and I'm all over the place with my Maddisons and Callum Wilsons. But you know what? Anything can happen in this game, and if 2020-21 season has taught us anything, it's that you can't write off any situation. So
we know
Callum Wilson
in the end.
Yeah, Jamie Vardy blanked James Maddison hat-trick of penalties.
Exactly.
Who knows? Let's move swiftly on to the gut feeling category.
Gut feeling.
In this one, it's a free reign. Think outside the box. You can choose anyone in the game. The only restriction is that it's the one player pick per club team. And revealing what might be my safest pick, and it's in the wrong category. It's Hakim Ziyech.
Hilarious.
And you've gone for Marcus Rashford. Right, okay. Let me hear about Marcus Rashford. Southampton away.
So Marcus Rashford, again, gut feeling. I didn't pull any stats. I'm just thinking, poor Marcus is what I've been thinking. Poor Marcus. I love the guy. I really do. And he just can't put the ball in the back of the net. But that's not, I don't believe that that's the player he is. I think he is way better than how he's been playing this season. And I think a Southampton that's playing at home, that might be a little bit more adventurous, that's going to send Kyle Walker-Peters flying up that wing. I think Rashford could get something in behind Kyle Walker-Peters, and this could be the match that gives him a little bit of a kind of a return to himself back. I don't think I would own him in regular FPL, but for this format, I want to back the guy. I'm rooting for him. So that's why I selected Marcus Rashford.
Also interesting, we forget as well that he's been reclassified. We spoke about it earlier. Like, it's an advantage now that he's a midfielder. He gets his extra point for a clean sheet and goal. And he has been unlucky so far. I do think you're right. Even tonight in the Champions League, he had a beautiful goal disallowed for offside. But he does have his speed behind him. I have to say, Kyle Walker-Peters is fast though, so he'll have someone running right behind him. But Southampton do play that high line, high press style, and there is opportunity there for maybe Bruno Fernandes to pick him out going behind. I like it.
Or Alex Telles.
I like it.
Yeah.
Alex Telles, crossfield, yes. Okay. Well, sure, look, we'll see what happens away to Southampton. United were kind of lucky to beat West Brom as it was and in the manner that it was. But maybe they're showing signs of form in the Champions League, so maybe they can bring that into the weekend. Hakim Ziyech, as I said, it's my safest pick. I needed to calm down a little bit. Too many punts already with Maddison and Callum Wilson. 8.3 million. It's really a form over fixtures pick here because, I'm making myself feel better. So Tottenham at home is a difficult game. They're top of the league. So not as obvious really in any other category this week. I just think he's an assist machine. If it wasn't for Chelsea's wastefulness, in particular, Timo Werner, he could have had 5 or 6 so far this season. And he hasn't played that many games. He's only really coming into the fold now. Rested in midweek in the Champions League. He played only 20 minutes towards the end. And he seemed to have settled well in the Premier League. And it's an eye test pick as well. He looks sensational when on the ball. He looks a menace, a danger. His vision is out of this world. And it looks like he's just taken that form from Ajax right over into the Premier League. So, yeah, Hakim Ziyech for me. 19% ownership too. That's going to, well, that could skyrocket if he gets on a run. He's had 2 double-digit holds already. And I think he's only played and started 4 games, maybe. 3 full games anyway.
Yeah. So it's an interesting pick. But I find it interesting that for your gut feeling pick, you went form over fixtures when you are normally a fixtures over form guy. So your gut feeling is telling you to go against who you are, which is interesting.
See, that's it. That's why it works for me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going against everything I believe in. Yes. Thank you for justifying that for me, Gabriel.
Yeah. That's cool.
Okay. Right, let's move on to the all-important captaincy choice. So this is for game week 10. 1 player pick per club team. This player scores double points in the weekly 6 picks contest that you guys can enter, by the way, in the description of the YouTube video. Just click on the link, fill out the form, and if you win, we'll contact you. Captaincy for game week 10. It's an old-fashioned coin toss matchup. Mohamed Salah against Sadio Mané on opposite flanks against the same team away. Game week 10.
Who's the real king of the African continent, huh?
It's all about the penalties. It's all about the penalties. Well, look.
Damn it, you're right. Actually, it is all about penalties.
It's it's very funny to. Like, again, we talked about it earlier, like premium assets with low ownership, 13% for Sadio Mané. Like, that's insane. And I think a lot of it is down to the fact that he's price matched as well with Mo Salah this season. I would have liked to have seen Mané coming in around 11.5 just to make people have that decision to make as opposed to just match up. But, well, look, what could be said about Mo Salah? And I know he's probably the best player in the game. He's the most consistent FPL performer. There is opportunity here this week, I feel, for the captaincy armband. A lot of people would have sold him for Bruno Fernandes, and that decision worked out very well for people. And I've just included a sample of what he can do. A 28% ownership, that's the lowest it's been for a long time. So there is a great opportunity here to gain some rank on a captaincy if it goes in your favor. And I've highlighted his game against Brighton last season, where he scored 2 goals in the first 9 minutes. And I think I captained him that week as well. I was delighted. So he had 2 goals, 1 assist in that game, a 3-1 win. And like, it does happen. I mean, players feel good going to certain venues and consistently perform there. And I know that he's going to be gunning to try and to impress again after missing out with his COVID illness or diagnosis. So I just think it's a good week to go for him. You're going to go into a lot of detail now in Sadio Mané and make me look like a fool. Go ahead.
I don't know. I think Salah is going to probably make me look like a fool at the end of this game week, as he has in the past. So Sadio Mané, I thought, was very unlucky to not return last game week, and I think he's going to continue to be highlighted this game week while Mohamed Salah. I mean, he's going to start, but I expect there to be kind of more attention given to Sadio Mané, building off of what they did against Leicester last week. So the detail that I have here is Brighton will be without Lamptey this weekend. Lamptey's suspended on a red card, and it'll be Veltman that's playing on that right-hand side. Veltman is actually, I think he came from Ajax. He's a really good player, but he's more in the Virgil van Dijk mold as far as not very quick, but very technically gifted. And he's a center back. He can play in a back 3 or in a back 2. But he doesn't usually play that wing back role. So I think Veltman is probably going to be asked to stay. He won't push so high, but I think Sadio Mané can beat him 1v1 with pace. So that matchup I like very much for Sadio Mané. To add, Brighton have conceded the second fewest chances from their left side, so that's Mohamed Salah's side, which is they've only conceded 13 chances all season. So that's like a little more than one per game, which I don't like that so much for Salah. Now, Brighton haven't conceded many chances to begin with. I think they're famous this season for allowing few chances, but also allowing a lot of goals, right? So they've conceded, as compared to 13 from their left, they've conceded 20 from their right. It's not much more, but I think that combined with the loss of Lamptey could really kind of predict some nice things happening for Sadio Mané this week. Last week, Sadio Mané was second for shots in the box with 5, first for shots on target with 3, and had an XG of 0.6. So I see him returning, and I'm focusing on him this week.
Yeah, owners are very unlucky not to get a return out of Mane in game week 9 for sure. And another thing, like you've pointed out already, the suspension for Tariq Lamptey is also a very good signal of things to come for Andrew Robertson. And the fact that they've conceded a lot of chances in and around that area. If you look at that heat map that you've displayed, you can see Andrew Robertson swinging a few balls in and around those redder areas. So I do feel like he was actually another guy that I tried to squeeze into my picks this week, but I at the end of the day, there's the weight on the captaincy pick, and I just didn't want to go without Salah, so I couldn't squeeze Robertson in.
I had a similar kind of discussion in my head of I wanted to go for Robertson, and I put my first pick was Robertson. I forget what category. Premium. It was going to be my premium pick. It was that's
the only place he can go because he's too expensive. Yeah.
And then when I got down to the end and I got captaincy and I said, oh, but I want Mane, and then I went back and I changed Robertson to Cancelo, right?
Yeah. So we'll meet back here for the game week 10 results, and it'll just be like Andrew Robertson, a goal, assist, clean sheet, 3 bonus, exactly. And we'll both be staring at blanks for Sadio Mane and Mo Salah. So you heard it here first, folks. But at least you guys have a chance to change your entries and think about them a little longer. We got to get these all in before the Champions League games, just as is the nature of time. You can have a little bit more time to consider your picks and choose maybe a little more wiser than Callum Robinson. Definitely not Callum Robinson with the amount of big chances he's had this season, but Callum Wilson and James Maddison. Let's have a look at the summary. Game week 10 picks. Who wins is the question. I do like this matchup more than last week because there's just way more diversity. Like, we don't have any crossovers. There's nothing even remotely similar to what we had last week, and it's going to make for interesting viewing. What do you think?
I think I like it also because we have rivalries. We have Salah against Mane. We have Vardy against Maddison. I like these rivalries that are brewing here. It's good.
Well, I definitely prefer to have Salah, but anyway, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much, Gabriel. Again, I'm really enjoying these, and thank you guys for watching. We hope to see you all next week for the 6 Picks contest, and we wish you all the best of luck and green arrows, I guess.
Yes. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and don't forget, vote Team FPL Lens. Let's go.
Yeah, it's all about FPL crypto. Come on, let's do it. Get in the comments. 80 points. Salah hat-trick.